Hello, welcome to AQS Inmate Call. I am your host, Joel Wilborn, and this episode deals with the prison system's retaliation. Now, I spoke with a person who's currently incarcerated at the Washington Correction Center for Women, and she does a lot of work for her fellow inmates, and then she also lobbies for her own um, well-being and safety and the rights that she has in the prison. And she reported to me that there's certain retaliatory measures that the prison officials take. And so I asked her if she wanted to share that with you guys, and she was willing to give a call and talk about it. So you can hear this in her words. But in a nutshell, this is just to show that when people actually speak out to let the public know what's going on in there, there's certain measures that prison officials, and not all of them, but a lot of the prison officials will take to prevent that from happening. So as you drive by a prison or you read about one in the newspaper or see it on TV, you may not hear this side of the story. So it's nice to get the backstory once in a while, and that's the reason that we want to share this. And I hope you'll take this into account when people are complimenting the prison system or criticizing the inmates that are locked up in there, maybe that they have it so lucky or that they're deserve what they get. This is the kind of stuff that we need to know about, and it should not be hidden. And there's a possibility they'll retaliate against her for broadcasting this, but she feels it needs to be heard, and she just doesn't care anymore. And you can only push a person so far. Anybody could tell you that.
This call is not private. It will be recorded and may be monitored. If you believe this should be a private call, please hang up and follow facility instructions to register this number as a private number. To accept this free call, press 1. To refuse this free call, thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
Well, hello there, little troublemaker.
What's that?
Well, it looks like
How are you?
you're the one with all of the activity going on over there.
I know, right? Somebody's got to do it. Hell, I'm in trouble for all the time. I might as well. They're really fixing my wagon as of late, so. But I to the point where I always have, and I just don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? I just don't fucking care.
Well,
You know,
if they keep retaliating and you did care, of course you would stop.
Right. Right. I mean, you know, shit needs to get done around here, man, and nobody else has the balls to step forward. So fuck it. Like recently, they sent me the seg for that. I got my old roommate had put a shank in my room, and it was like a toothbrush with a razor blade tied loosely on the end of it with a piece of dental floss. So I was supposed to go to the hill where it's still, and I knew she knew I had to fucking do it. She's an asshole. Anyway, so they vote for you to get out of here to go from left to lighter security to go home, right, to the hill. So the counselor told me that she said, oh, no, I'm not voting to send her up there after she had a weapon in her room. Get the fuck out of here. I'm an old soccer mom, for Christ's sake. You think I had a shank and I was going to hurt somebody? I haven't even gotten so much as a fight in here. Like one I had in my room, allegedly, where my roommate lied and said I hit her and I didn't. That's the only one on my record, 14 fucking years. Now I'm making shanks in my room by hand in my room. Come on, man, you stupid bitch. So, yeah, that was one of them, and that's preventing me from going to the hill. I'm like, it's better over here anyway. You ain't punishing me. So that just gives me another reason to sue your dumb ass. Because it's retaliation. It was just preventing me from going forward, so.
Okay. So
Oh,
so just to make sure, so our audience knows, what is the Hill?
oh, the Hill is lighter security. So CCU is serious security, the highest security in here. And then the light medium security is MSU campus, and that consists of A and B pod. And then the Hill is pretty much you walk around all day and all night long in the yard. You can do whatever you want mostly, and there's outside rooms and lots more things to do and lots more freedom.
Okay, and so you're being prevented from going to the Hill because of this nonsense.
Yes, they have several people vote for you to go up there, and most of them have turned me down, including the, I guess they have a new COS on the Hill. Her name escapes me, but she said, quote, if she comes up here, she's going to have to stay in the dorm, and I will prevent her from going into a bedroom with other girls. It's a better, like, kind of upscale, like where there's only 3 roommates, as opposed to living in a dorm setting with several other roommates. So even if I go up there, I'm going to have a hard time or be punished more.
Now, Renee, why in the world would the mighty DLC want to retaliate against you?
Because I'm the jailhouse lawyer here and help people fight their PRPs, their appeals, infractions. I have filed a recent lawsuit against Sergeant Calliopa's daughter for another offender who got her finger lopped off in the kitchen, Mary Jo McDaniel, and then I transferred that case to a lawyer, Miss Erin Wilson, and that now is in federal court in the U.S. District Court. And since her daughter was mysteriously left her position here, I'm not certain why, whether it was due to the lawsuit or not, she no longer works here. And ever since that started and I came over here, Sergeant Calliopa has given me every crummy roommate. That's been consistent. She recently put me in segregation and locked me up herself, like cuffed me herself. For refusing, according to them, a bed move. They told me to get crawled up into the upper bunk. I'm almost 60 years old, and if it survived 2 neck surgeries. And I said, I can't climb up there. I'm just incapable with my disabilities. I have an HSR for a lower bunk, but it expires, and I can get it renewed tomorrow. Can you guys give me grace till tomorrow to get another one? Swain, Calliopa's boss, who I was hand in hand with her, said, no, I won't give you grace till tomorrow. So they cuffed me and walked me to the hole, and I got to the hole, and they said, quote, you're not supposed to be down here. I have paperwork that states this. We disagree with your placement in segregation. So I had to go back all through the loop, lose my room, have all my stuff packed up, lose my freedom, and then go back to CCU and await for another bed in MSU again.
Now, that waiver that you had, could you have applied for a renewal before it expired, or did you have to wait till it expired?
No, I did apply for a renewal beforehand, and they said, quote, we don't give HSRs for lower bunks at sick call. You'll have to make an appointment to see your provider in person because too many people want a lower bunk that aren't applicable to get one, so they fake injuries to get one at sick call, and the nurses sign one over to them. So now they've changed the rule to make it more stringent to prevent that from happening. So now we have to go. I didn't know because who knows these things? I don't work in medical. So yeah, they have since changed the rules to you have to see your personal provider, which was not there on that date. So I kept writing. Yeah, so I had paper trail on that as well.
Now, you were telling me about a recent event where they were moving certain roommates into the cells with you guys.
Recently I reported a PREA incident with an off roommate who was clearly manic and was staying awake all night. I just actually got a declaration signed from her next roommate stating that she was in her room. I don't know what other word to use. Masturbating all night is the word she used, and refused to sleep even though she was awake. She was keeping her awake by not going to sleep. And then the next day she went to Swain and said, this person is doing these things in my room. I can't sleep. It's just weird. So he said, quote, oh, she was never supposed to be moved into your room to begin with. Well, the day before that, she was in my room. And I had to report a PREA, which is sexual harassment on her for making a pass at me and baring her naked body to me. And she actually belongs to tech is the department where they house individuals who have mental health issues. Clearly she does, but they put upon many of us these people so that we'll babysit them, and then they weaponize utilizing these people as inmates to those people they want to quote get back at, but we can't prove it because we have to take what roommate we get.
Now, have you known of anybody else that's gone through this as well?
Several people are the room move situation, like certain rooms are held for people that they don't like or people that cause problems or grieve them. For example, I've grieved numerous officers over here for several different things, and I write grievances for other people, or I help them, assist them in writing them, people that don't speak English very well, people that are elderly, whatever, against other officers, and they know I do that. To the point where good officers, are referring people who are being picked at to have me help them. Recently, an officer just asked me to help a little girl go to her grandmother's bedside funeral, and walked right up to me in front of the two witnesses and said, hey, will you help her do this? But this puts me at risk and has, and yeah, so. But yeah, several other people have absolutely been victimized, or like I said, they weaponize room moves as a like, for example, who was like the girl upstairs. That was why did he say to her, oh, she was never supposed to be moved into your room to begin with. How come she wasn't supposed to be moved into that room with her? A nice young new girl who doesn't have any sort of record in her profile, as opposed to it was okay for him to put her in my room. That's the question in my mind.
Now, it looks like these women that you're talking about that's used as retaliation, they do need to be put in a room, and most likely they have to have a roommate anyway. What is the normal procedure? Let's say you have a woman who is a very violent criminal, and she's been known to attack people, at night. Now, I would say they would normally go into the hole to keep them away, isolate them. But what if they're not as violent? What if they're just known to be violent, but they've kind of calmed down? Would they put them in with the regular cell, or would they move them to a special one?
They should. Well, with their process there is the counselors are to the sergeant generally puts someone in your room, but they are supposed to base their determination on a meeting with counselors, and they look at their Omni profile, and they look at their crime, and they have what do you call it? Like I forget the term I'm looking for. Like they have to answer a bunch of questions before they house two people together. Like, are they like they would put two murderers together, or a thief and a hooker, or that kind of thing. Prostitute, I'm sorry. Well, but they wouldn't house, say, somebody who takes advantage of people and is violent and known to be violent with a track record in here with some young new kid who's in here for, say, a year and a day for a DUI. But they do. It just depends on the circuit. They get away with murder in here, so they can pretty much do whatever they want.
All right, so on the book, it sounds reasonable to you, but in reality, it doesn't really matter. They do whatever they want.
Not at all. And this girl was actually and not only a danger to herself and others, the one I speak of, my last roommate that I just had removed from my room under PREA, and it was found that it was, and now is being investigated. She was defecating on herself at the gym, and it was seen through her clothing by another offender. And she approached her and told her, hey, you've got some stuff in your pants there. And she goes, that's okay, and just kept dancing around the gym and just neglected to go wash up in the bathroom and didn't care about it. So then she proceeded to take her clothing to the laundry person, putting that health and safety risk on us, which is a violation of the policy in here, to put materials that are, what do you call it? Materials that have matter on them, if you will, in the public laundry with the rest of us, because it can cause health and safety risks to us. So the girl told her, I can't put that in here. She goes, oh, it's okay. I do it all the time. She goes, well, it's not okay with me. So the girl, she was checking the laundry and told me about it, and they refused to wash her laundry. So she was my roommate at the time. So she proceeded to wash it in the sink or something where we brush our teeth, and then hung the clothes in the room here with me and her. And I kept getting sick for 2 weeks straight, and I was like, why am I sick every day? Just sick. And the day after she moved out, just stopped. So that would probably be why, for touching everything. But so, yeah, it's been a nightmare.
Now, you were mentioning earlier, and I did a recent podcast on it based on what you told me, that there was some flooding, and it looked like there's quite a bit of water that came out due to a malfunction in the fire system.
Yes. They admitted on the kiosk. Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead. They had admitted on the kiosk after the flood. It was about a foot or two high, and after they had let the water, first what had happened was we were woken up and rushed out of the building. A lot of people didn't have shoes, socks, sweatshirts, and we were made to stand outside for 3 hours. It continuously rained in one room, and we could all see it from the window for 3 hours. Maintenance came. They allowed an offender maintenance person to come back in first to check it. So he was allowed to enter the building, an inmate, because he's on the maintenance squad, and risk his life. Water and electricity will shock you if you put your foot in the water with a blow dryer. What makes you think and the electricity was going off in the window, and you could see it sparking and lights flittering and all this and that, and like they let him back. Who was in charge that night? So apparently the lieutenant, we were told, refused to call up, and obviously after 3 hours of waiting outside, it was clear the fire department was not coming. And everyone was allowed to, on the other two pods, so the pod was actually in. We were made to sleep at the gym eventually. And then some people were taken to receiving to sleep. It was just a mess. So, and they had the inmates come back that night, and later the next day, whoever would offer their services to freely come back in and clean up the water and the clothes and the floating property that was destroyed. It was an immense amount of property damage to people's televisions and typewriters and clothing, etc. So yes. And then several people were made to become very ill after the fact, coughing up blood, all kinds of signs of sicknesses. They were handling all of the property and old blankets that were wet and things like that.
Now we're at the end of April, and this happened at the beginning of April. So,
yeah.
So, are there anything that's happening now? Did they contact you about some medical care, or they're going to have some people come in?
A lot of people have gone to medical. Medical's denying any knowledge of any. They are all of their test results are coming back inconclusive. They do not show COVID, a flu, or so it's verified that nobody has anything that they can identify. They're just told, I don't know what it is, and they're told to take over-the-counter medications such as aspirin, ibuprofen, and cough drops, and they have been, which is not the treatment one would assume is necessary for this. And then, according to one lady's mother who called the fire marshal, told her that we should have never been allowed to re-enter the unit, that the unit should have been cleared by a special team before we were allowed to come back in, so we wouldn't be made sick, and that the fire department should have been called by all means.
Well, all right. Sounds like you're having a really good time over there at the Washington Correction Center for Women.
And believe it or not, this was my second flood in my room. Last flood, my roommate had hung my clothing up on the fire button. Oh, and then lastly, anyway, but to close on the other, they had sent a kiosk and they said it was a malfunction in that room's fire spigot, and that it was no fault of like an inmate or a staff member. We're sorry for your inconvenience. That was it. And then they did tort claims and had the officers come around and ask us what was destroyed, and they're doing several tort claims now.
Okay, so this is not your first rodeo.
No, not my first deluge in the prison.
Got it. Okay, well, how do you want to sum this up before we go?
You have 1 minute left.
That's it. I appreciate your time and thank you very much.
All right.